Hi guys, and welcome to the No Gluten Zone, or welcome back if you've been here before. I create content normally for people with food issues, whether that's food allergies, sensitivities, intolerances, or just autoimmune issues that affect your diet. And today my topic is very off topic. This really does not necessarily pertain for people with food issues. I think it could be good for people with autoimmune issues or any other chronic health issues, but it could be for anybody, really. So this is something I have struggled with tremendously, and I have been working on it. I'm still working on it, but I wanted to share what has helped me so far in hopes that it might help someone else. So I have been struggling for years with getting blood drawn out of my veins, and I feel like it is progressively worsening as I get older. I have asked over and over and over the phlebotomists, what causes this? What can I do to help this? The biggest thing they tell me is to be hydrated. So I would start drinking water before I went for my blood draws, and it helped some. And as time has gone on, I drink more and more water before my blood draws. And it has gotten to the point where I drink a half a gallon of water before a blood draw, slowly, not one big half-gallon gulp. But yes, I start first thing in the morning, sipping. And before I walk out the door, I make sure I have drank a half gallon of water. And yet they're still struggling to draw my blood. So I don't know if it's a vein issue, that's what they always think, or if it might be something with my blood. Maybe my blood is too thick, I'm not sure. The biggest issue is that I always forget to ask my doctor. Like, I'm there with my doctor and it never crosses my mind, and then I walk into the lab and I'm like, oh no, I forgot to bring it up. And because I'm sure my doctor has no idea these issues are happening. And the reason I said it might pertain to people with autoimmune issues, I'm sure I'm not alone in this. When I go, they usually draw lots of vials of blood, just looking at things, checking things, like, I don't know. So I have a feeling I'm not the only autoimmune person who has that happening on a pretty regular basis. And now I'm between two doctors. I have my primary doctor and then I have my functional medicine doctor, and they're both doing blood work pretty often, at least pretty regularly. So I am dealing with this a lot. And so what I have done, it's not a perfect science still, I'm still working on this, but I will say that I drink the half gallon of water before I get to the lab. In case it's a vein issue, I have started taking horse chestnut, and I really only take it like once or twice a week. I don't take this every single day. I'm very sensitive to things, and I have this issue where I have to find the sweet spot with supplements. And if I don't have enough of it, there's issues. And if I have too much of it in my body, there are issues. And so I don't know if I'm alone in that, but for me, it's always a matter of finding that sweet spot for each supplement. So there's a lot of things that I don't take every single day, maybe, weekly or a couple times a week, or I've got a couple things I take 3 days a week. So I am doing that horse chestnut like once or twice a week, usually. The other thing I added on, I feel like this has helped the most because I'm a nurse. I've seen people who we call them hard sticks, that's hard to get blood out of them or to start IVs on them. And a lot of times in the hospital setting, you have time, you're not in a hurry to get them out the door. And so we will take little hot packs and put it over the vein. And so what I've started doing is on my drive to the lab, so it's like a 15 to 20 minute drive to the lab that I usually go to. And so what I've been using is hot hands. These are hand warmers. I originally learned about these a few years ago because I am a greeter at my church, but I was greeting on Wednesday nights. That's where I first started greeting. I now greet on Sunday mornings, but I was doing Wednesday nights and it would get really, really cold some parts of the year. And you know, you're in the doorway, like exposed to the outside, and it would get really cold and we'd bundle up. And one of the other greeters that I greeted with shared these with me one time. And so I went on Amazon and bought a whole box, and I still have that box, but I use them pretty frequently. And so there's two, there's one in each side if you've never used these, and you open them up and they start warming up. They last like a long time. It says right on it, 10 hours of heat. I don't need that much time for the blood draw. So what I do on the drive is I put it, you know, they typically draw your blood in the antecubital area here. And so I will stick one here and one here and kind of keep them pinched while I'm driving. I would like to find something that I could wrap around it to kind of hold it, and like hopefully something reusable. That would be really nice. The flip side though is if they're there too long, it turns red. It gets like really red. It looks irritated. And then they don't want to draw blood because they're worried there's like an infection or an allergy or something happening. So I have to tell them, like, look, I put this hot pack and oops, it got red. I have found if I do it, for me personally, if I do it like 10 or 15 minutes, that seems to be the sweet spot. If I go longer than that, it tends to get kind of red. I did it last week, and it was one of my arms was just a little bit red, like up at the top part, and they didn't even ask, they didn't even say anything, and they got my blood like no problem. And then just a couple days ago, I went for my physical with my primary care physician, and they draw my blood right there. So I drank the half gallon before I went in, and I went in fasting. And then after, while I was in the waiting room, I was putting those heat packs on, hoping that would work. And they were probably there about 5 minutes, maybe. And it was not enough. He could not draw my blood. So I had to reschedule going to the lab. So it's going to be coming up. I will do my half gallon of water and then do those on the drive there. And every time I do that, it works. The first time I did the hot hands on there, it was actually very red. I left them on probably 25, maybe 30 minutes. And they were both very, very red. So I was really embarrassed. I was really worried the lady wasn't gonna draw my blood. And I told her what I had put and why. And she just said, okay. And she went ahead and drew my blood. And she was like, I don't know like why you did that or who told you need to do that, because look, I had like no issue drawing your blood. And that was like the first time I've had no issues. Like even with the half gallon of water, it's like they poke me multiple times. They go get another person to try, and they just keep trying. Sometimes there's been so many times they didn't get all the vials they needed because they just can't. And it's always a problem. So that was like the first time. I didn't tell her. I didn't want to argue with her. I just let her think that like, yeah, I was wasting my time. I'm not a hard stick. But I was just like, whoa. And so far, every time I have used those, they get my blood very easily. And as you can see, again, when I didn't use it long enough at my doctor's office, they couldn't get anything. They tried 3 times, could not get anything. And I asked like every time they have trouble, I ask, what can I do to prevent this? And they said, it's usually dehydration. And he said, did you drink water? And I don't just say, yes, I drank water. I tell them I've drank half a gallon of water this morning. And he was like, what? I said, I have. And he says, you've had this problem before? And I said, yes, I always have this problem. And I drink at least a half gallon of water before I come in. And he was like, well, then it's clearly not dehydration. He said, then I don't know. You just have really difficult veins. If you've had these issues and if you know anything, please share with me, because I am really working on this and really trying to improve it. So I hope this was helpful, and please consider subscribing I'm working on getting my subscriber count up, and please give me a thumbs up and share this with anyone that you think it would help. Have a great day, guys. God bless you.